Well, Frank's going to make a move on this one. It's gone. Home run Clemente. And the Pirates 2, the Orioles nothing.
Here's Lemieux. The center penalty coming up. Look at Lemieux. Oh my goodness. What a goal. What a move. Lemieux. Oh baby.
Edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline live in the BPTV studios. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine, Chip Painter, smoking Jim Frazier with a mysterious bag. Whoa, it's carrying his 2 liters of ginger ale.
Energy drink.
No, he needs a sugar, folks. He's an honest man. All right, thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate that. Thanks for liking and watching us on Pittsburgh Sportsline Tuesday through Saturday night. Appreciate all the likes on our Facebook page, 6,860 likes. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. We got a few promos here. We got Jay right here. He's the master of the cameras. He'll get this close up here. I trust him. We got me in the picture. There we are. Olive Oil's Pizzeria, Hillcrest Shopping Center sponsors our show with an XL pizza that Smokin' Jim just started to inhale and a steak hoagie. So enjoy, Smokin'. 412-831-1900. Tell them Al Levine, the talking machine, told you to call up and order some great Italian food. You name it, they got it, and it's just a great place. Next up, Bethel Park Historical Society, Schoolhouse Arts. Nice shot. Look at that shot by Jay. Look at how bright this light is on me. I can barely see it. I need your sunglasses, Smokin'. Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road. They do a lot of great things there. They put a brand new roof, 140,000, all new windows in the building. Schoolhouse from 1905. They have different businesses there, a dance studio, an artist has his paintings up there. They also have a history center with clothing and yearbooks. They have my special place for my loose leaf green tea, Reginald's Coffee, right in the corner there. Matt and Julie own it, great owners. Cole and Clay are great assistants, and plus Becky. She takes some of my pictures there, and I got to stop by maybe tomorrow to get a shot at drinking my green tea at Reginald's Coffee. Check them out. Next up, we end each show with Stay Joey Strong. Poor Joey died 6 years ago, complications of DIPG, brain cancer. He was 9 years old. The family, instead of being depressed about it, which affects them to this day, they've raised over $100,000 with different events like a 5K 1-mile run at the Bethel Park High School in September. They do different fundraisers throughout the year, flea markets, you name it, all kinds of different great things. Just check their website out. You can donate as little as $1 and even volunteer your time. Next up, wanted, Bethel Park groups and organizations who need money. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has grant money for you, $100 to $5,000. Get an application at bpcf.org. I'm one of the trustees on the board. We meet once every couple months. We have money for you. We've given out $970,000 plus to groups like yours in the Bethel Park community that do great things. So check us out. Next up, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. There's my face on Uncle Sam. Tell them Uncle Al, the talking machine, sent you to BPTV. You can be like Jay on cameras. You can be like Zach, Connor, and Alex, the newest volunteer, on the sound, audio, you name it. They're going to even put our commercials in there, I hope, because it is live TV, but we'll see that. And this is me asking you for BPTV to be a volunteer like these great guys here tonight. 412-831-3304. That's how you get a hold of Dave Cable, the director and only employee of Bethel Park Public Access TV. Next up, we have a sponsor of What's on Your Mind, Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station. It's a red, white, and blue service station, 6103 Route 88 in Finleyville, 7 miles from my house, about 6 miles from here. They work on anything that runs on gas. You name it, trucks, cars, boats, weed whackers, lawnmowers, anything, tractors even. They also started working on electronic hedge trimmers and things like that too. So they can help fix your electronic type of things that you use around the house. So give them a call, 724-348-4715. Tell them Al Levine, the talking machine, sent you.
Can they fix my VCR?
Yeah, if you bring it to him, Smoking Jim. You're a smart man. You know how to get there. Just unplug it if you can figure that out. That's the hardest thing for my man. He got a 96-inch TV, and he watches TV almost all the time when he could be reading all these books. Like he just got us a great book from my good friend Jim O'Brien, 6 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Started to dig into it. There's even a couple pictures for you, Smoking.
Oh, that's all right.
So you can check that out. But I got to ask Smoking Jim Frazier, besides your VCR, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Coming at you.
you got to see Levine. And always remember, fellas, that the movie is always better than the book. Am I right?
Wrong.
Book's always better.
Wrong.
100% of the time.
Smoke-
We can agree that
No, no,
this is-
Smoking.
You're just wrong. That's it.
Here's how simple it is. Smoking Jim, back when The Godfather came out, my mother would read all these books, love stories, and all this other stuff, and she's reading The Godfather. She finished it, and she goes, "Hey, Alan, here's a good book for you to read." I go, "Mom, there's like swear words and everything else in there." She goes, "It's a great story." I read the book, saw the movie. The book was 10 times better than the movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I got the tip from my mother. May she rest in peace.
Oh, amen.
And your mother could not have been more right.
Thank you, Chip.
Well, hey, I got a request. Most of my white friends.
The race card comes out. Let me tell you a story. I go to Chick-fil-A. My son goes for a VA appointment, so we become friends with a few people. You know I talk to everybody. So there's this great guy from Carrick named Tony. He's a fan of us, likes Chip, likes me, wonders about Smoking Jim. He whispered me the other day. He goes, "Hey, Al, you know, Jim's a little bit of a racist." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You brought up some players and all that, and he was talking about white quarterbacks, and you said Lamar Jackson's not a white quarterback." And he started laughing. I go, "I'll tell him that." And he loves the show. He watches us all the time. And
His name is Chip, too?
no, his name is Tony.
Tony.
You missed that point.
Tony.
Okay.
And he's a nice guy.
Well, they asked me to ask. Most
Who?
of my white friends.
Name
got
one.
together, and
Name one.
I don't want to. I'm not a name dropper, but they said, on this show, can we please extend Black History Month another week?
No,
I got your back.
Thanks. This is coming.
I'm
from
not
white
even
folks.
listening.
This
I'm
comes
not
from
even.
white folks.
I'm not even
Okay,
listening.
You know what? When you see what I'm talking about, I'm sure you're going to laugh out loud.
Well, if we can't do that, I'll do a couple.
No,
black
go
things.
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
got something on you. I got you.
Okay. I'll do a couple black things then. We'll talk a little basketball. How about LeBron James against Chubby Zion, huh? What
Yeah.
a great thing for basketball.
Zion wasn't looking very chubby, and he was getting to the above the rim.
Man, he's unbelievable. 19 years old.
Who won the game? The Lakers?
Lakers won. Unbelievable. Both of them had like 35 points.
One had 35, one had 34.
One had 34.
LeBron had a triple-double. Zion had, I believe, 35 points and
How many minutes?
bunch of rebounds.
How many minutes did Zion play? 26 or
He
something?
don't play that much.
No.
I don't want to get him hurt again because he's a little
Well, he's
fat.
already had some injuries,
Little fat.
but he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, he is.
He's jumping over your head.
at 6'6". That's incredible.
6'8", I thought he was.
No, he's only 6'6".
6'6", and he's
And-
jumping.
And look at all that. Look at all that biscuits he carrying. He getting that up. But here's what's on my mind. I thought I would do, because it's March Madness.
Yeah.
I give you my top 10 college basketball teams. That way people can make a little money in March Madness. You can thank me later. Number.
I don't know if I will.
You mean your bookie will thank them later?
Number 10D. How about BYU? 10C, University of Houston. 10B, Virginia. Number 10, Villanova. Number 9, Arizona. How about number 8B, Maryland? Number 8, Louisville. How about number 7? Put your money on Florida State. They're hot. How about number 6, the Dukies? How about 5B? Can't go wrong with Kansas. How about 5, Baylor Bears? How about number 4? Going to the Final Four?
Isn't Kansas the #1 ranked team in the country?
Not on my list.
Okay.
How about
Everybody else thinks they're #1.
How about number 4 and going to the Final Four over Kansas is Dayton University, the Flyers. How about number 3, San Diego State? Put your money on that, Chip. How about number 2, Gonzaga? Could be the year for the Gonzagas. But my #1 rated team, if they stay healthy, they got the greatest coach of all time, University of Kentucky. One and done Kentucky.
Name his name. What is the coach's name?
Calipari.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah, Italian. You talking about The Godfather?
Yeah.
You probably
Movie.
picked up my list. You see?
Folks, we don't script it, no matter what Smoking Jim says or alludes to.
Taking a peek.
Put it like this, he made it in the studio 2 minutes before we started. Every one of the volunteers.
And that was a solid 2 minutes of prep.
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to peek at it. Chip Painter, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Everybody in the world, I think, that watches our program knows how I feel about the game of baseball. Okay? And I've been a lifelong supporter of the Pittsburgh Pirates through thick and thin, through good times and through bad, regardless of who the owner is and how much he pays his players.
You're not like Smoking Jim.
Not a bad.
So, what's got me riled up this evening, and I'm good and lathered on this one, is the absolute incompetence of the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, involving the cheating scandal involving the Houston Astros. It just amazes me to no end that this debacle continues to get worse and worse, and the more information that comes out, why is it that none of the people involved in the cheating scheme, who were involved in it on a daily basis, are being punished or being sanctioned? I think it's totally wrong. I think the commissioner should have shown a little spine, a little backbone.
What about taking that trophy?
I would. I'm getting there.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I think he
I
should
wasn't
have.
sure.
He should have said, "Players' union, be damned! I am going to punish these players because what they did was they cheated. They cheated to win. They cheated the game. They've cheated everybody. And what we're doing by not punishing these players is we're letting people know that it doesn't matter how you play the game. The only thing that matters is whether you win or lose, fairly or unfairly. And I think it's a black mark on baseball, and I think something should be done. At the very least, I think the Houston Astros should be forced to vacate the World Series championship from 2017. I think players should be suspended at the very least. I think players should be banned for life at the very least. And there's precedent in baseball that people that have been caught cheating, this goes all the way back 100 years, and there's precedent. And the commissioner is too much of a coward to stand up to the players' union and do what's best for the game of baseball, because this whole cheating scandal. Now I understand that there's 5 or 6 other teams that are under investigation for various forms of cheating, And what are we going to do then? Are we just going to say, well, it's just this is the way the game is played? That's a bunch of baloney. I think what they need to do is they need to come down hard on everybody. Yes, it was great that they initially suspended the manager. Hey, how about a lifetime ban? Great. The owner who benefited from their cheating scheme, who had to know it was going on, okay, great. He fires the manager. What repercussions are there against him? He reaped in billions of dollars in
That's
revenue.
the amazing part about it. No penalty.
In revenue, and there's no penalties. So what'd they fine him? $5 million? And they only fined $5 million because that's the highest penalty that they can levy against them. I'm going to mention a name. Alan will recognize this name, and Jim will look at me quizzically. But Kennesaw Mountain Landis had it right, okay? That guy rolled with an iron fist, and there was no forgiveness.
Even if he was wrong, he didn't care.
He didn't care. This is the way things are going to be done, and if
He was
you
the
don't
commissioner.
like it, if you don't, you'll find out who he is. Wait till you see on my trivia segment. I told you I got something to one last vestige for Black History Month.
Sure.
You-
You told
you'll
us
see.
last week you would. Smoking Jim tried to steal your thunder and blame it on a white guy.
Yeah, well, so anyhow.
There is
so-
the white guy
so
right
if
here.
If you want to know what's on my mind, Major League Baseball needs to fix what they just broke. Bring some integrity back to the game and get the people that were responsible for this cheating out of the game. That's how I feel. That's what's on my mind.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I followed baseball a little bit sooner than you because I'm a little bit older than
Just
you.
a couple of days. Because, you know, we know how old each other are. It's not a state secret.
By the way, Smoking Jim, my birthday's still June 30th.
Mhm.
June 30th. Not October.
Your first birthday.
No, the only birthday I have.
And the only one I have is September 6th.
Yeah, and mine's still June 30th. And I know yours is
And this
July
one-
17th, but we don't know what year.
You got a good
Yeah,
And you want
yeah.
to know what? This year's a big one.
Congratulations. Going away?
No.
Folks, we just had a little sidebar there.
We just had a little bro fun, you know.
What's on my mind is we're going to do a little Penguin talk at the end of the show.
Yes, we
Been
will.
6 losses in a row. I've been a huge fan of the grittiness of this team all year. They're one of the most gritty teams I've ever seen in hockey, not just here in Pittsburgh, to compete like they have every game. And now we make some good trades that should fit in and should help make us speedy, but we seem to have lost some edge. They're still trying. They're not giving up, but they're missing something. They're just off a little bit because, as Smoking Jim knows and Chip watching sports, sometimes you don't gel right away with certain players that you get. It does take some time to get the little nuances that each player has, adjust to their speed, their shots, etc. But they're not giving up, and I can't wait till they start getting back on the winning streak tonight against the Senators. Can't wait to see that happen when I get home after 8 o'clock. So go Pens, and we're going to come back with some.
If I may
Go ahead.
interrupt for
Yeah,
one
you got
second.
one chance.
If either of the other two professional sports teams in Pittsburgh had a 6-game losing streak, would we not be screaming for the coach to be fired?
Yes, and here, let me put a correlation with this. Smoking Jim, to explain hockey and football, a 6-game losing streak is like losing 1 game in football.
Is it?
That's the correlation. You understand that? 6 losses, 1 loss. 16 games, 82 games.
I thought it was like the equivalent of a curse that's been on since.
Well, you discovered the Art Rooney curse that I had to explain. He used to drink a lot and gamble because he had a problem with gambling. He was a bookmaker and all these other things, collected little bets all throughout the north side. But that was the problem, who he hired, until Dan took over. And that solved it.
Marc-Andre Fleury curse.
There ain't no curse there. No curse, Smoking Jim.
Yeah,
And
it
we'll,
looks like it.
He certainly hasn't blessed the Las Vegas Knights because I don't remember them hoisting the cup.
no, we don't even want to get into it. The curse might just be Fleury at this point of his career. That's all it is. Because he hasn't won a cup since he left Pittsburgh. How does that happen? Smoking Jim, we're trying to debunk this. We'll have some fiction and fact, and it'll all be honest. from Smokin' Jim's Almanac. Back. Get
My man
smoking
Chip.
on here.
Got Dr. J in the house, Alex in the house. We got my main man, Little Z, the Gateway Gator, and we got the swag. Connor is here, but I just got a few little tips from Little Z about March Madness, so I gotta take a strong look at that.
Well, just
anybody
don't
that's
bet.
homeschooled,
Just don't bet. Z's not homeschooled. He's not homeschooled. He goes to Bethel Park.
he got
He's in high school. He's a Blackhawk.
he got a lot of time on his hands.
I know Black History Month is over, but he's a Blackhawk.
But here we go, fiction and facts from Smokin' Jim's Almanac. I actually found some notes from an interview that I did with Iron Mike Tyson years ago.
No way.
Yeah.
And that picture of you that you post every so often is one of the worst of you ever, but it's
Isn't
a
it?
nice pic of Mike Tyson
It
because
is.
you aren't smiling.
I couldn't,
It looks like you were scared he was biting your ear.
I couldn't figure out where the camera was.
I know. I saw that look. It was dazed and
And then
confused.
Mike Tyson tried to set me up a few times when I had him at the Doubletree in Monroeville when he first came. When I did the interview, he kept leaving me in the room by myself with his wife. So I felt a setup was on, bro.
No. Let me
I
explain.
had to hold my Bible the whole time.
Let
I
me
was
just
afraid.
tell you, Smokin' Jim is one of the most trustworthy and honest guys I've ever seen around women.
She was beautiful.
Because he has 1,000 of them that are friends he posts every day on
Oh,
Facebook.
thanks, Elavina.
And he's not dating any of them. None of them. He's just grinning and bearing it.
But the one thing I asked Iron Mike, I said, what would be the best way for somebody to beat Deontay Wilder? A 6'7" guy with long arms that got a one-hit
Gained
quitter
40 pounds.
in the right hand.
Gained 40 pounds and knock him out.
And guess what Mike Tyson said? Mike Tyson said, there's two ways to beat a guy like Deontay Wilder. Either outboxing or making back up because he has no power when he's moving backwards. And that's exactly with Tyson Fury, not to get mixed up with Marc-Andre Fleury that put the curse
No,
on
no,
the
that's
Penguins.
Fury.
Yeah,
Fury.
Fury and Fury.
Fury.
we gotta get
And
that
the other's
together.
Flurry.
But I'm the only one on the planet, as you know, that predicted that Tyson Fury would knock out Deontay Wilder, who's never been down before. Tyson Fury ain't knocked out nobody in 5 years. I guaranteed the fight wouldn't see round 8. Now I'm going the other way. I'm going to say they already signed for a rematch July 18th, 2020. And I'm going to say what Deontay Wilder needs to do, besides keeping his mouth shut, to win back his championship.
And not
I'm-
wearing a heavy outfit all loaded up with batteries.
And I'm predicting, also he could knock out Tyson Fury if he does these things. You know, number one, take a vacation, get away, rest, relax for a month. He got a beautiful fiance that's only with him for his money. Number two, fire your trainer, Mark Breland. Not because Breland threw in the towel.
I thought he did fire him.
He probably did.
No, he did.
Okay, well, keep him fired, and this for this reason, because he has no respect for Mark Breland. That's the thing. He don't respect it. What he needs to do is one or two things. He needs to either get trainer Teddy Atlas, who I don't like, but Teddy's somebody that's going to not let you quit. You know what I mean? He's going to yell at you, get in your face, you know, and embarrass you and teach you the game. That's one. And what Chip will tell you, and you too, Al Levine, the talking machine, people don't realize when you go to the Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines, they're not getting you in physical shape. You can get in shape at Planet Fitness. They get you mentally prepared to go to war. And that's what training camp's supposed to do. Get your head ready for a battle. Get you ready to get punched in the face, punched in the mouth, elbow licked on your neck, whatever, and to go through it. Number two, and here's what I suggest that he do, even though I don't like the guy, but he's a hard worker and he got a good training camp. Floyd Mayweather offered to training. Now, what you get with Floyd Mayweather, you don't just get Pretty Boy Floyd in all the strip clubs that he got. What you get is Floyd's dad and his uncle, and they got a great training camp. I think that he would listen, and that's what he would do.
So basically, what do you think Floyd would teach him how to do? How to run away from his opponent?
Yeah.
if he followed his map, he'd never fight him again. Not until he was in his 60s,
Possibly.
But that's my
when he has a
suggestion.
chance to beat him. But
That's my suggestion.
Thank you, Smoking Jim Frazier with an assist.
Let's say hi to Zach.
And he's not going to Gateway. All right, thank you, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Everybody, and welcome back. And Jim wanted to carry on for just a little bit longer for Black History Month. So tonight I figured, being as riled up as I am about the scandals in baseball right now, I decided to talk about the Black Sox scandal.
What a coincidence. You must have
What a
looked at his
coincidence.
notes. You looked at his notes.
I like to make my friend Jim laugh.
He didn't realize you had it printed out
So,
last week.
and
when
you know,
he
in
saw
a
it.
nutshell, and I don't want to spend, you know, a tremendous amount of time on this, but I do think that this is relevant considering what was done, the cheating that was done to help the Houston Astros win the 2017 World Series, because this, well, the framework to punish these players is right here. The Black Sox scandal was a Major League Baseball match-fixing scandal in which 8 players of the Chicago White Sox were accused of throwing the 1919 World Series against the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for money from a gambling syndicate led by Arnold Rothstein, Aiden Clayton, Aaron Nelson. Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis was appointed the first commissioner of baseball with absolute control over the sport to restore its integrity. Despite acquittals in the public trial in 1921, Judge Landis permanently banned all 8 men from professional baseball. The punishment was eventually defined by the Baseball Hall of Fame, despite requests for reinstatement in the decades. Okay, it was defined by the Baseball Hall to include banishment from consideration for the Hall. And this is part of the reason why Pete Rose will never get in. Despite requests for reinstatement in the decades that followed, particularly in the case of Shoeless Joe Jackson, the ban remains. And how did this all come about? Okay, now Charles Comiskey, who the baseball stadium in Chicago was named after, was a Major League Baseball player from 1882 to 1894. And he owned the Chicago White Sox. And back then, there was something that was called the reserve clause in baseball, which basically meant that if you didn't sign a contract with the team that had your rights, that you couldn't play for any other professional baseball team. You couldn't sign a contract with somebody else. And thankful to Curt Flood, who challenged the reserve clause and defeated it in court. That started the age of free agency in baseball, which started in the early 70s, okay? But be that aside, Comiskey's players didn't like the owner. The owner was notorious for underpaying his players. And so they were a disgruntled bunch of guys, but they loved to play baseball. And the Chicago White Sox were a very good baseball team. As a matter of fact, they won the 1917 World Series. So the conspiracy started with a meeting of White Sox players, including those committed to going ahead and those just ready to listen. Took place on September 21st in 1919 in Chick Gandel's room in New York City. Buck Weaver was the only player to attend these meetings who did not receive money. Nevertheless, he was later banned with the others for knowing about the fix and for not reporting it. Okay, so do you see what we're doing here? The players that knew about it and didn't do anything were just as guilty as the players that were involved in the well, you know, and I kind of have a tendency to agree with this. Although he hardly played in the series, utility info Fred McMullen got word of the fix and threatened to report the others unless he was in on the payoff. As a small coincidence, McMullen was a former teammate of Sleepy Bill Burns, who had a minor role in the fix. Both had played for the Los Angeles Angels of the Pacific Coast League. Burns had previously pitched for the White Sox in 1909, 1910. So the fix was in the World Series, and you know, and Faber. Okay, so what the scheme got an unexpected boost when the straight leg. There was players on the team that wanted nothing to do, that knew nothing about the fix, and were totally against anything to do with it. And then there was a group of players that were all in. Okay. So some of the more straight-laced players, one of them, his last name was Faber, could not pitch due to a bout with the flu. So that left two of the conspirators, Eddie Chicote and Lefty Williams, to pitch in the World Series. Now, because this was a 9-game series, okay, Lefty Williams pitched 3 games in the World Series and lost all 3 of them through the games so that he could get paid. So, you know, as it turns out, Lefty Williams lost 3 games, and there was threats between the bookmakers because they weren't paying the players and the players to, you know, so forth and so on. So rumors of the fix dogged the White Sox throughout the 1920 season as they battled the Cleveland Indians for the American League pennant. Stories of corruption touched players on other clubs as well. At last, in September 1920, a grand jury was convened to investigate. Chicote confessed to his participation in the scheme to the grand jury. On the eve of the final season series, the White Sox were in a virtual first-place tie with the Cleveland Indians. The Sox needed to win all 3 of their remaining games and then hope for Cleveland to stumble, as the Indians had more games left to play than the Sox. Despite the season being on the line, Comiskey suspended the 7 White Sox players still in the majors. He said that he had no choice but to suspend them, even though this action likely cost the Sox any chance of winning that year's American League pennant. The Sox lost 2 of their last 3 games in a final series against the St. Louis Browns and finished in second place, 2 games behind Cleveland. The grand jury handed down its decision on October 22nd, 1920, and 8 players and 5 gamblers were implicated. So then we get into 1921, where there's the actual trial. And the trial went on, and make a long story short, because I don't want to sit here and read this whole thing. They outlined the evidence, and the most explosive testimony began on July 19th when Burns took the stand and admitted that members of the White Sox had intentionally fixed the 1919 World Series. Burns mentioned the involvement of Rothstein, among others, and testified that Chakotay had threatened to throw the ball clear out of the park if he needed to lose a game. After additional testimony and evidence, on July 28th, the defense rested. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours, returning verdicts of not guilty. Long before the scandal broke, the baseball owners had nursed long-standing grievances about the way the game was governed. The scandal and the damage it caused to the game's reputation, which is pretty pertinent to what's going on with the game right now, gave owners the resolve to make major changes to the governance of the sport. The owners' original plan was to appoint the widely respected federal judge, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, to have head a reformed 3-member national commission. However, Landis made it clear to the owners that he would only accept an appointment as the game's sole commissioner, and even then, only on one condition: that he be granted essentially unchecked power over the sport. The owners, desperate to clean up the game's image, agreed to terms. Upon taking office prior to the 21 season, one of Landis's first acts as commissioner was to use his new powers to play the 8 accused players on an ineligible list, a decision that effectively left them suspended indefinitely from all organized professional baseball. So, and this is what Judge Landis's thoughts were about this. And this kind of speaks to your buddy Pete Rose as well. Regardless of the verdict of juries, no player who throws a ball game, no player who undertakes or promises to throw a ball game, no player who sits in confidence with a bunch of crooked ball players and gamblers, where the ways and means of throwing a game are discussed and does not promptly tell the club about it, will ever play professional baseball again. Now, I think if you came down hard on these players, maybe we could get a more honest game being played. And I think what the owners of Major League Baseball, they need to do something about the commissioner. And I understand that you've got a union here and it's going to involve lawsuits, but the integrity of the game is at stake here. And cheating being accepted, I'm having a very difficult time swallowing this. So
Can I say one
there
thing
you
here,
go.
Levine, to talk
Oh,
about?
sure.
No
I
matter-
can't wait for your contrarian opinion.
No matter what you do in baseball, it's still going to be a boring game. But let me ask you this, Chip. Didn't you just read in there that the jury found them not guilty?
Doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, is that what you read?
Right, but that
You heard
doesn't
it.
mean that punishment can't be administered. Check this out. One of the greatest baseball players in the history of the game,
Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Shoeless Joe
Couldn't
Jackson, to this day, is not in the Hall of Fame. And just to give you
And
an
he was
idea,
innocent. You know it.
Joe Jackson's part in the conspiracy remains controversial. He had a series-leading .375 batting average, including the only home run hit in the series, threw out 5 base runners, handled 30 chances in the outfield with no errors.
Put him in.
In general, players perform worse in games their teams loses. Jackson batted worse in the 5 games that the White Sox lost, with a batting average of .286 in those games, which was still above average. The National League and American Leagues hit a combined .263 in 1919 season. Jackson hit .351 for the season, 4th best in the majors. His .356 career batting average is the 3rd best in the history of the game, surpassed only by his contemporaries Ty Cobb, and Rogers Hornsby. Wow. 3 of his 6 RBIs came in Lawson's. Shoeless Joe.
So they got it wrong. Baseball got it wrong with Shoeless Joe.
Well, you know
Well,
what?
you
though?
can't-
He didn't know
But
about it.
here's the thing.
He was like you, Smoking
You
Jim.
lay down with dogs, you get fleas.
But he didn't know nothing about it. You know that.
Jim, you're guilty by association.
Oh, you
I
know that
mean,
ain't
you know,
right.
hey.
That ain't right, Chip.
No,
you gotta
you know.
give. You gotta give him what they call that when they give him something a reprieve. What the president do?
Pardon.
Pardon. You gotta pardon him.
Well,
Chip.
and to
you gotta
speak-
pardon him.
And to speak to one last thing, is that Joe Jackson now has been banned from the baseball and has been kept out of the Hall of Fame for 100 years. And so what I think would only be a just punishment for Pete Rose is that 100 years after he was found guilty of betting on baseball on the team that he managed and that he played on, maybe consideration should be given then. Maybe his descendants,
If they're around.
a couple 100 years from now.
Is he going in the Hall of Fame as a manager or a player? As a player,
Neither.
He should get. He didn't do any of that.
He'll
Yes,
be
he
the
did.
greatest
Yes, he did.
singles hitter
He,
to never get in the Hall of Fame.
read about it, Jim. Please.
He bet as a player?
Yes, he did.
Nah, I don't
As a
believe that.
player and a player manager, he bet on games that he played in.
I gotta read that.
You won't.
Thank you, Chip Hayner, and no assist from Smoking Jim Frazier.
Thank you, sir.
Is that good or what?
That was great stuff.
It's so funny.
Hey, take a little close up of this picture right here.
You're
Look at
up,
this
you're up.
painting. Can you pull up on
You're
that,
up.
Zach? John O.
Little Z can
Praskak.
do
No,
it
we
all.
can't get it. There it
Little
is.
Z can do it
Three
all.
Rivers Stadium, and John O. paints with Monongahela sand from our river.
Really?
It's in every painting of his, and he's just a fantastic artist. Just check out John O's paintings, and we're honored to have it on our show. Thanks for pulling it up, Zach, and the rest of our crew. On location next Monday, March 9th, if Smoking Jim can make it, we'll have a show at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 9:30 Brookline Boulevard, 7:30 to 8:30. We'll see if he can make it. I was talking about Howard Smith, who's an NHL scout and coach. Wow. And you'll like that because we keep mentioning Black early in the show, so you'll enjoy that. Then we got Jose Carabello. Ray Schaefer Boxing Association is going to have us announce Golden Gloves fights at the Millvale Community Center on the 14th, which will be Saturday. So do a little preview of that. He's going to have somebody from the Stowe Rocks community where they put out they needed paper, and Smoking Jim, they got great replies and got paper and school supplies that they needed. Because I don't know if you know, but certain communities are cutting back on the money that they can give schools, so they're always short with their supplies.
Not my community.
Well, you don't even go there. You just go on your seat at the Gateway football games and basketball games. They got a seat with an X on it. Smoking Jim Frazier's seat. And he don't even pay. They let him in for free
If you
because
don't-
he's legendary.
If you don't teach him to read, you don't need to buy any books.
And he doesn't know history, don't know any history, so he's good like that. But we'll carry on from that. But that's our guest then, Smoking Jim. I was getting a tux for this leadership group that I'm on with the Kidney Foundation on Saturday. So I got to get a Roaring 20s type of suit, so you'll see pictures of it. I may have my daughter take a couple pictures of me for my fans and friends like Smoking Jim and Chip.
You're not going to the Syria Mall Saturday?
Smoking Jim, I have this special event. We're trying to raise $280,000.
Wow.
So that sort of takes priority. And I'm blessed that my kidney function is over 60%. My son gave me the greatest gift, and he's doing well, his own kidney. So we're both doing great. So Smoking Jim, I have to ignore boxing on the 7th, and I'll miss that. And we'll check out the boxing with Mike McSorley at the Sokol Club on the 20th. So we'll check that out. But we have another event coming up. We got my Kidney Foundation fundraiser at Al's Cafe, March 16th. That's 2 Mondays from now. That'll be March 16th, and we'll be at Al's Cafe. Judge Arnone is our guest special host. Smokin' Jim will be there. It's $10 to come there. Donate to the Kidney Foundation in honor of my kidney and helping them in the community. We got guests lined up there, so it'll be an interesting show. I have it open from 7 o'clock till 10. We may even have a 50-50 for gamblers like Smokin' Jim and others, so they can give $1 and maybe get $1 back. But there's great food there. The reputation at Al's Cafe, Smokin' Jim hasn't ever been there, but they have great food, and we'll be there having some fun. So check that out. Then I got another show that just came up. We're going to be at Peppers and That. Rob Portigello, he owns it. It's right in Braddock. You go off the Rankin Bridge, pull down on the 1st Street, Peppers and That on the 22nd. Yeah. It's a well-known place. They have great food there.
A friend of mine just played there this weekend, Billy the Kid and the
Yeah,
Regulators.
I saw that.
Really?
Yeah, Jessica Lee played there last year.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong place.
Well, it's off the Rankin Bridge. You don't get to that neighborhood very often, so. But we'll be there on the 22nd because my man John Saraperi asked us. He has this We 21 nonprofit group that he honors Roberto Clemente,
Wow.
and he helps promote other teams across the country and throughout the world. Bill Franciscus is now with the organization coaching teams for him. So they're trying to raise money at this event. It's going to be a fundraiser for this We number 21. It'll be a fundraiser March 22nd, and I think that's a Sunday.
Sunday,
Yeah. I'm not sure of the time. We'll have to check that out. But we're going to be there, and he's willing to have Pittsburgh Sportsline there, do some interviews, and maybe go out in the crowd and interview people and talk to them about their teams and stuff. So it might be more than an hour show is what I'm figuring. We'll have to discuss that. But mark your calendars for the 16th. $10 donation, Al's Cafe. Everybody's invited. Children under 18, no charge.
Wow.
That's what I'm doing. Bring your kids because I'm family friendly in spite of what Smokin'
about
Jim
half
says.
price? How about half
I'm
price
going to get
for
my
kids?
fake ID.
All right. And Smokin' Jim, you can bring your 102 godchildren, including Mojo, Mariah Torres' son. You could bring Mojo to the event too.
I'm going to bring ID that said I was born in 2003.
And I have an Eventbrite. You can buy your tickets for donation online there and just come there. My daughter and her boyfriend did it. A couple other friends. Coach Pat Carmack and his lady friend Jane are going to come. A lot of people are, we got about 30 people or 40 people coming. I'm hoping to get about 50. So it'd be a nice night, and expect to have some fun, and we'll have a good show. Got some guests lined up, and I'll announce them later on. I even have one announcement I will make is Rosemary Skaggs, you're friends with her, Smokin' Jim. She messaged me that, hey Al, maybe you could help this guy, needs a kidney and a pancreas. So I ended up calling him on the phone, talked to him for an hour. One of the saddest stories I ever heard. He has diabetes. He's in his early 40s. He's on the transplant list, and his name is Patrick Shank. He agreed to come, and his brother will bring him, and he has a son named G. He calls him G. He goes, could he talk? I go, put it like this, I'll bring him on. How old is he? He goes, 10 years old. He goes, he's a great kid. So we're going to try to get the word out because Patrick had a sad story, and I'm going to share it right now. January 1st, they told him that they had a kidney and a pancreas because he's on the transplant list. They called him in. He was there 5 hours. Here, the kidney wasn't acceptable. The pancreas was good, so they couldn't operate on him because he has to get both. So he got sent home. 2 weeks later, another kidney, another pancreas. Here, the pancreas wasn't good, so they couldn't do it. Then he gets a call because he has this Patrick Shanks needs a kidney, and he gets people from all over the country, and he has them filling out applications to see if they're a match. Like my son was a perfect match. That's what they're looking for Patrick. But he needs 2 organs. So the people are calling him up. Hey, they told us that they got enough applications. So he called the nurse up at Montefiore and said, hey, why are you not taking any more, applications? She goes, well, I heard you got your transplant. He goes, no, I had 2 calls and it didn't work out, so they got to reopen the list.
Wow.
So I'm bringing him on my show to get the word out. And he was a coach. He has a couple older kids, a couple younger kids. He was a baseball coach, softball coach, so he has some stories to tell, and he'll tell you how tough it is being on dialysis, and he needs help. So anybody out there that can donate a kidney, it would be great. Sorry to be long-winded, but I wanted to get that out. We'll be back with some Pittsburgh Penguin talk.
That's important stuff to get up.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for not changing that dial. Penguins.
3-1. End of the first period. Connor Sherry has scored a goal.
Who told you they're starting their streak now?
Joe-
You heard it here first. Bet the house.
Marino scored a goal.
Marino's back.
Connor Sherry. Now, here's something that's interesting about this Penguin team. Their top 6 defensemen are playing together in the same game for the first time since November.
Wow.
That
is great.
And I'll tell you, the Penguins, they made some moves and losing 6 games in a row, it's not going to knock them out of contention. But the point I was making last week, where the Penguins are capable of beating any of the top teams in the East.
Sure.
Are they capable of going and winning a 7-game series?
That's the
and
question.
that's the big question I have right now. And they've got about 5.5 weeks for us to find out the answers to this.
Sure.
The playoffs start.
I heard
the
only
second
about
week of,
16 games to go. Something
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
the playoffs usually start in the second week of April.
Right.
So
We're getting down to it.
yeah, and just to give you an idea, the playoffs start in the second week of April. And when they play the final series in the Stanley Cup Finals, it's in the second week of June. Wow. Okay?
That's a
And
long
that is
second
why
season.
I say, and they basically they could potentially play games every other night
Yeah.
for 2 months to lead up there if every series were to go 7 games. A lot of them do.
It's the greatest championship series. 16 games you got to win.
You got to win 16. You could lose 15, but
Right.
you have to win the 16. But, and here's what the thing is, I think it's the hardest professional championship to win. Just bar none. Hockey, the speed of it, the violence.
Oh, yeah. Injuries, all the other
just
stuff.
Just in the attrition. Because, you get banged up, you get banged into the boards, you get crunched into the ice.
What if you get a concussion during one of those series?
Yeah,
you might miss a series.
You know, you might miss a series. You might,
Another one, two series.
Or whatever. But hockey players are a rare breed. They play with broken bones. They play when
Cuts,
they're concussed.
stitch me up.
They play with teeth laying on the ice. I mean, they
Numerous times.
they
Look at Sid.
stitch them up and they send them back out onto the ice. Hockey players are a rare breed.
Look at Marino, what he's coming back. Fractures of the face.
Fractures of the face.
When
he
I
had to have
saw that
surgery.
game when he got hit in the face,
Oh, that-
just below his visor, hit him in the face. He went down like he got shot.
It almost reminded me of the time when Crosby got hit in the mouth
Yeah.
with the puck.
I saw that too.
So the
Teeth were
Penguins,
everywhere.
the Penguins have plenty of time to get the chemistry back. So these guys are going to have to get used to playing with one another because the lineup has been in flux all year.
Yeah.
Most of the year, you didn't know who your line mates were going to be. Now they've got some stability.
That's
And-
why these games, they've been so gritty because they've pulled together as a team. Like Tomlin talks about the next man up. Sullivan talks about the next man up. Guess what? The Penguins practice that.
Okay, so let's talk about the next man up. And the Penguins actually do have 4 lines now that
are legit.
That are legit. But being that my dear friend Jim here, in 4 or 5 weeks, we're going to be talking about the NFL draft, and I know you're going to be working with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And my thoughts, my question to you is, in what direction are the Steelers going to go in the draft? I saw an interesting mock draft in the paper. Was it yesterday or was it Sunday? And what it's got the Steelers taking is a wide receiver at their first pick in the second round.
That's surprising.
They're taking a couple of offensive linemen.
Why not a defensive
and
player?
they're taking a defensive
They
lineman.
always do.
But
Well, if you take the best player available, this is one of the deeper drafts for wide receivers.
I also heard it's a deep draft for running backs as well.
Very deep draft for running backs, and I would suggest the Pittsburgh Steelers grab one in the second round. They're claiming that their number 1 feature back is James Conner.
How can they not?
I've been saying since he came out in the draft. I said in my draft report that he's a 190-pound bone structure with 240 pounds of muscle, which equals a lot of injuries, and you can see he gets injured a lot.
Well,
Hard-working guy, all muscled up, but he got a small frame.
I would have to tend to agree with you because I don't think that a combination of James Conner and Benny Snell doesn't give me the confidence that Ben's going to have the running game that he needs to be successful with a young group of receivers.
Oh, but I don't have the confidence with the quarterback trio.
Well,
If Ben doesn't come back stellar,
so far everything seems to be trending in the right direction there, and only time will tell.
I know, but it's
I
a
love-
hard.
I love Duck. I've seen
Put it
enough
like
of
this:
Duck.
Duck is out. Duck is out.
I've seen enough to make me think he could be a superstar.
That's why they're going to go against you 180 degrees. They're going, Duck is gone.
So-
Nobody else wanted him. We only wanted to.
Now,
We
you
got
know,
less than a minute, so get your points
actually,
in.
the second pick that the Steelers had, I do believe it might have been an outside linebacker or an edge rusher, and I can't. Jeez.
Well, with Dupree and T.J. Watt, you really don't need that. I think they're going to franchise Dupree.
But here's the question that begs to be answered: is okay, Bud Dupree's going to get $17 or $18 million on a franchise tag. Okay, where's that going to fit in the salary cap? Because the Steelers do not have a lot of
Cut Ben Roethlisberger.
unless they redo everybody's contract, because you've got to pay T.J. Watt. Okay. That's on the horizon. That's going to be foremost in your mind, and you can't tell me that they're not going to pay T.J. Watt.
Good point.
No, they have to. He's the greatest linebacker we ever
still in
had.
history.
We ever had.
Maybe in NFL history.
So
You said me Ray Lewis was.
I think over the next 5 or 6 weeks, it's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do to put them in a position where they can, keep the players because
Hey, we're going to have to cut you short with this because we're out of time. Stay tuned for next week. More Steeler talk as that draft approaches. Thanks for watching our show. Please stay Joey strong.